At least we got an image of it. Okay. So we should be live right now. Let me just check with the audio. Yep, we are good. Okay. Welcome to everyone who is joining me. This is going to be a full spoiler discussion about Rise of Skywalker, and I'm going to give some thoughts as well on what I think we should do moving forward in the Star Wars movie franchise. What era should we look at? Should we go in advance? Should we move forward years, like thousands of years, or should we go back? So I'm going to go into that, but we're going to start off and we're going to get right into the spoiler discussion. So feel free to leave your thoughts in the live chat, and also leave some questions if you have any questions in that, and I'll try and answer them. So we're going to get right into this spoiler discussion right now, because this movie has a lot. It has a lot in it. So I'm going to start off by saying, look, after having a few days to really digest what I witnessed, I mean, I come out, my first reactions were, I absolutely love this film. I really, really did like it. And I still do like it. Like, it is my favorite probably out of the new trilogy. I do enjoy it. But, however, it is flawed. This is flawed. To me, The Rise of Skywalker feels like Endgame. A lot of fun, enjoyment, everything I wanted in it, basically. But it is a flawed movie, just like Endgame. Like, you can pick apart Endgame with flaws, plot holes, and that, and it's the same with this movie. Now, the biggest problem I think this movie had is there was no direction in the whole trilogy. There was no direction. And that's not Abrams' fault, and that's not Rian Johnson's fault. It's Disney's fault. They should have put someone in place like a Kevin Feige figure. Kathleen Kennedy should have had this mapped out and gone, look, this is what we want to do. This is how we sort of want to follow this. But no one did that. So you had Rian Johnson do his own thing while Abrams was doing his own thing, and there was no cohesion or chemistry throughout those two movies, and that's why we got this movie in such a flawed aspect. Now, let's get into the spoilers of this. And first off, the first act, it is just jam-packed, like straight off the mark. Like, this is 3 movies condensed into one, and that's a problem. I don't know why it wasn't 3 hours. I don't know why you'd cut off at 2.5. I think you give Abrams an extra half an hour would have made this movie a lot better. It would have flushed out some more storylines. But when we started off, I mean, I love when we see Kylo Ren go to that planet, go to Exegol, and he goes into the Sith temple sort of thing. That was all really, really cool. And that's when we first saw the Emperor. Now, the Emperor storyline, I was all for bringing the Emperor back, but it wasn't it. I didn't think it was executed well. How did he survive? We have no idea. I have no idea how he survived at all. Like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, well, so we're not going to explain how he survived? So he's just been surviving all this time. That, to me, was a bit, really, like, you could have made up something better. Like, I would have preferred Palpatine to come back as, like, a spirit or something, and he's haunting this, and he's twisting Kylo's mind. Like, I don't have a problem with him using Snoke as a puppet or anything like that, but, like, him being alive using him, I don't know how I feel about that. And I mean, I reckon it would have been better if he was like a spirit and he possessed Snoke, and when Kylo killed Snoke, he was manipulating him the whole entire time to get him there so that he could take over or something. But what do I know? So the stuff with Leia was actually pretty good. Like, Abrams did a very, very, very good job to incorporate those scenes into this movie, considering she had passed away. I mean, unexpectedly passed away. So they used already footage, footage that was already shot in that, which makes me wonder if those were from episode 7. Was this all planned? Was Palpatine all planned or not? That's a question I want to know. I don't feel like Palpatine was planned. I think this was just a chuck him in this movie. I don't think it was planned at all. But yeah, it makes you wonder now, how much did they shoot in Force Awakens that we didn't see now? Because those shots of Leia that were supposed to be from episode 7, but it's interesting. It's very interesting what they actually did with those scenes for Force Awakens that didn't make it but made it into this film. So who knows? But obviously, the Knights of Ren, I wanted more Knights of Ren. They didn't do anything. They literally they would pan on them and they'd be sitting there and then they'd go away. It was only at the end that they really did something, and we'll get to that. But really, the whole first act, it's just all crammed in there. Like, there's a lot of action in that. Not really too much. Like, it felt like it could have been a movie on its own because it's setting up for the events later on, and use a bulk of time to do that when you shouldn't have to do that, because that's what the other two films were for. The other two films are for that, so that you don't have to do that in the third film. But unfortunately, it happened. It happened in the third film. So we moved to the second act, and this is when things started to get a little bit convoluted, and like, I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like, I don't know if I like that. I mean, we find out that Rey is a Palpatine. I have a big problem with this one. I mean, I did not like that reveal at all. I was like, why can't we just have a being that the Force created to counteract Snoke, Palpatine, and Kylo from the dark side? It created a light Force user to match them. And she was literally a nobody. But no, she's the granddaughter of Palpatine now. So I was thinking Palpatine's about anywhere from about, I would say, 40 to 70 in Revenge of the Sith. So he's about that age. So when did he have a kid in that period? Like, because he wouldn't have fucking had a kid unless he raped someone later on, because, I mean, look at the guy. He was disfigured and everything like that, and he's a Dark Lord in that. So, and there's just, see, the time is like, because there's like 25 years or something, 20 to 25 years between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. So, what, do you have a kid between there? And then what? There's another 20 odd fucking years between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. So I'm kind of trying to match it together and be like, well, how is this possible? But in the expanded lore and stuff like that, Palpatine didn't have any kids. So, I mean, I guess they retcon everything that's fucking in the books and shit like that now. Like, the expanded universe doesn't matter. They've just retconned it completely. It doesn't actually tie into anything like this. But I wasn't happy with the reveal. I mean, why does everyone have to know everyone and be like, he's the daughter of them, they're the son of them, they're the father of them? Like, everyone have to be, connected? It's not like, to me, with that reveal, it made this sort of feel like, instead of the Skywalker saga, it's the Palpatine saga. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no more Ben. Kylo is the only, like, Skywalker left, but it's not really about him. It's more about Palpatine and Rey. And I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah. That I did not like at all. I didn't want her to be a Palpatine, like, but who knows? But now also, we find out that Luke was training Leia the whole entire time, which now, when I watched The Last Jedi again, when she uses the Force in space, makes so much more sense now. Because when I first watched it, I was like, how can Leia do that? She's not been trained to use the Force. But now she was being trained by Luke. So we discovered that. That was awesome. But when Rey is in the Death Star and she's finding the Wayfinder to get to Exegol, she meets with Kylo. Now, there was spoilers that got out beforehand about Kylo doing what Sidious wanted him to do. And it kind of didn't make sense for the character, because the character had killed Snoke to take over and go, you know what? I'm doing this myself. I am the king. And I'm so glad that Abrams didn't go down the route of Kylo's doing everything Sidious wants to do. No, because he says to Rey, we can still rule. I want you to take my hand and we can stop the Emperor and take over. So I'm glad they didn't go back on the character, because Kylo is my favorite character, and his arc is just so good. I absolutely love it. It is so good. And when they're fighting on there, he's fighting Rey on top of the wreckage when the ocean is crashing down, and you see Leia is using her last bit of her life, so to speak, to reach out to Kylo, and Kylo and Rey feel that. Kylo turns, Rey then grabs his lightsaber and stabs him. And I'm kind of like, whoa, Rey, like no hesitation, like full angry, boom. I'm like, okay, so is this where Rey's going to turn to the dark side now? She's going to turn to the dark side and something like that, and Luke's going to have to try and talk her out of it. And then she heals Kylo afterwards, and she leaves. And then I didn't expect to see this, but then Harrison Ford appears when Kylo's looking out at the ocean, and Han is there, and Han's talking to him saying it's not too late in that. And he finally gives in, and he basically, I think it was pretty good, where Rey stabs Kylo and kills Kylo, and then heals him and reborns him back as Ben Solo, which I thought was pretty cool. So he looks like he's going to be redeemed now, which, you know what, I'm okay for. I think the Kylo character is very complex and interesting. He's trying to prove himself, but also doesn't want to give into the dark and go fully evil, which I thought was really compelling with his whole character arc throughout the 3 movies. And that's why he's my favorite character of the new trilogy. So now we get to Exegol, and Rey's got the Wayfinder, and she is showing the way to the Resistance. And they all go into battle. We obviously have Lando back, which was awesome to see. He's taken the Millennium Falcon to go find some more people, and the battle's erupting. Rey goes to confront Palpatine. Now, Palpatine's basically in a big, like, Colosseum-like arena with, I thought originally they were other Sith, like the, what's it called? The spirits of the other Sith, which I thought would have been pretty cool, but I think they're just Sith loyalist followers or something like that. So now we see Palpatine trying to manipulate her, saying, strike me down, take your place. You are my bloodline. This is your birthright. You are meant to rule the galaxy as Empress Palpatine. So we got all that. Now Kylo's rushing to get there. Well, Ben Solo now is rushing to get there. No lightsaber or anything like that, because Rey took the lightsaber. She's got Leia's and Luke's, aka Anakin's. So now we get into the final act, and when it looks all doom and gloom, I tell you what, when everyone else with Lando arrived, that to me was an absolute epic scene. And that, when John Williams' score was going, that took me back to my childhood. To this is what Star Wars is all about: massive space battles, just everything. And when they're all coming down, was like the scene in Endgame when the portals open and they are all in there. Ben's obviously there. He's coming through. He's got to fight the Knights of Ren with no lightsaber. So I'm like, cool. We're gonna see Ben just absolutely wreck these fools with the Force, but he doesn't. And this certain time we see Knights of Ren, but then they use the Force connection, which I think is pretty cool, where she puts it behind her back as if she's going to like cut down Palpatine, and actually Ben's got it, and then he just wrecks him. He just wrecks him and gets there. What I like this, but I would have preferred if the Emperor had done this earlier. So the Emperor then starts to drain their life force. He starts to drain their life force, making himself younger. So if that's the case, why? Like, I would have preferred him to just had people there and he's drained their life force over this time to make himself younger and powerful again, and that's why. But he doesn't. He just does it here. He gets young, throws Ben away. Like, Ben gets up and then throws Ben away into like a massive dark pit, and boom. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, no. No, you can't do Kylo Ren, Ben Solo dirty like that. Like, come on, dude. The guy just got redeemed and you're just going to chuck him out there? So I was like, no way. Then Palpatine opens the thing's open and he shoots lightning up to stop them all. Rey gets up and then he's basically like shoots lightning at her. She's got Leia's lightsaber and she's trying to hold it. And then obviously you hear Obi-Wan, Luke, Yoda, Leia, other Jedis all speaking to her saying, look, we're all with you, Rey. You're a Jedi. You're not a Sith. And she grabs the other lightsaber and does a double cross when the lightning's coming and pushes it back on Palpatine, which kills him. He basically turns to dust and it kills him, really. So how do I feel about that? I don't know. See, I would have preferred if they had done like, as Palpatine takes out, he gets really, really young, like back into his like 30s, 20s, and they have a big lightsaber fight. Like it's a 2-on-1 because he's so powerful. That would have been so much cooler, I think, as an ending for Palpatine. But this was kind of just like, boom, that's it. And then Rey falls down. She's dead. Kylo / Ben Solo gets out. And I'm like, thank God for that. He gets there. And he uses the force healing technique to heal and give his life force up to Rey. Then you get them looking into each other's eyes. Obviously, you knew what was coming. They did the kiss. And then Ben and Kylo Ren die. Like, he literally dies and becomes one with the force. And so does Leia, and they both disappear. And that's basically it. So then they all fly away after destroying the Sith fleet, which is the cool red stormtrooper looking Sith trooper thingies, which I would have liked to see more of, but we didn't. They go back and then it's all that. And obviously we go to Tatooine where it all began, and Rey she constructs her own. She's got a yellow or orange blade, which is freaking sick. She then buries Leia and Luke's lightsaber in the sand near the Lars house and farm area, whatever you want to call it. And then someone says to her, oh, no one's been here for so long. What is your name? And she turns and she sees Leia and Luke and she goes, Rey Skywalker. And there's where you title The Rise of Skywalker, which, it is what it is. But overall, I mean, the action scenes are freaking awesome. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed the action scene. Obviously, there's problems. I'm not a big fan of the Palpatine stuff. I think it could have been done so much better. There's a lot that just doesn't make sense. But hey, I look past it because it's Star Wars and it was really, really fun and entertaining. Now, which brings me to my next thing. What should we do with the Star Wars movies moving forward now? Obviously, you can go... I mean, I don't feel like they're going to just drop Rey, Finn, and Poe. They're not just going to drop them characters. I don't see why they would build these new characters only to drop them straight away. So we're going to see more stuff from them. But as the trilogy, the main stuff, do you go years and years, like a century, 2 centuries, basically 1,000 years, a millennium ahead, and you just start fresh, new characters, new story, completely? You could do that. And I mean, I'm all for that. Completely new, just start fresh and redo and just like go hard. But what my personal opinion, what I really, really, really want to see is I want us to go back in time. And I'm not talking like to see Darth Maul and all that. I'm talking thousands and thousands of years to the old Republic. The era of Darth Revan, Darth Malik, Darth Bane, like that era in that timeline. I would love to see it. Look, it's thousands and thousands of years ahead, like back, so you don't need to directly tie this into the Skywalker saga at all. So I'm so intrigued with the whole Revan story, Malik story, Bane, because Darth Bane is the first one that created the rule of 2. So we can see how that develops. So what I really, really, really want is I want us to explore the Old Republic, the Knights of Old Republic storyline, and give us the mass amount of Siths. And then you have the Jedi, and you have like the all-out war. The Revan character is so compelling because he's torn between the light and dark all the time. And it is so good. The Malik storyline is great. And then obviously I want to see the Darth Bane. I want to see how he decides, you know what, we need to come up with a rule too because we're killing each other. And I just want to see like a Sith sort of, because the Sith are really interesting. And I want to see like a Sith council like they do in the books of the Revan book, where they have the big council of them all. So I'm very, very, very intrigued to really see what they can do. And I tell you what, we know Kevin Feige is doing a Star Wars film. And I would love to see Kevin Feige take the reins and do a trilogy of Knights of the Old Republic. I think he would. He's a massive Star Wars fan, and he would be absolutely fantastic. Fantastic to do it. So I would absolutely love to see Kevin Feige take the reins for that. And fingers crossed, Kevin Feige does do that, and he takes over the Knights of the Old Republic, and we actually get the Revan storyline, the Malik storyline. I mean, just that era. There's so much lore to tell in that area through the books and that. You can take material, and I mean, we've seen what Kevin Feige has done with the MCU. Why can't he do it and restore Star Wars back to the old original trilogy days? So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get something like that. But if we move in with new characters in advance, like thousands of years, I'm down for that too. I mean, as Kevin Feige is doing a Star Wars film, so I'm excited for that. Hopefully, we don't have a trilogy that is just all over the place like we have been having. So, fingers crossed. Okay, so we've got some stuff here from Cyborg Man. Uno was annoyed me. Who was Uno again? Oh, I totally forgot that character. Obviously, he must have not really mattered because obviously I didn't really care for him. So, but we also right. Okay, the Knights of Ren were Kylo's childhood bros, right? Yeah, that's what I kind of thought that too. I thought they were the like brothers as well. You know, I thought that's what I thought too. Killer kills them without any emotion and words exchanged. So disappointing. To counter that bit, he obviously cared more for Rey at that point in time. He was trying to get to Rey, so he just went as hard as he could to kill them. But you're right. I thought they were they trained together and stuff like that. So, I mean, I would have liked to seen a bit more chemistry between Kylo and the Knights of Ren. I wanted to see the Knights of Ren do more. That's why I was hoping we could get them in The Last Jedi. It would have been so much cooler, really develop them, because they were just kind of fodder, if you really think about it. They're fodder to Kylo when he comes in to just murder them, and he does. So, I mean, yeah, the Knights of Ren were disappointing. They built them up as this, like, hunting, like, tribe sort of thing, but nothing really came of it. And then you know what annoyed me? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yep, that annoyed you. Yep. No, it's very disappointing. Obviously, people are going to love it. People are going to hate this film. I do personally like it more than I hate it. So, and I do think it's, at this point in time, I have it more. So, if I was to rank all the Star Wars films right now, we're going to rank them all right now. Number one is so hard to pick because it's either between Return of the Jedi or Empire, but I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, and then I'm going to go, this may be, some people may get onto me on this, but number 4 is going to be Revenge of the Sith. I absolutely love Revenge of the Sith. Then I would say Rise of Skywalker. Then I would say would be Force Awakens. Then I'll probably go Rogue One, Solo, Last Jedi, Phantom Menace, and then obviously you've got, what's it called? Attack of the Clones, and last. So that would be my ranking of the Star Wars. So obviously this one is up there in the in 5th. I have this one in 5th. So that's mine. So yeah, so thank you for joining. That has been the spoiler discussion on Rise of Skywalker. You either love it or hate it. Let me know in the comments. Do you love this movie? Do you hate this movie? What were your problems with it? And what do you want to see in the future? What time period do you want to see us to take in Star Wars? So thank you for joining me, and have yourselves a lovely day, night, evening, wherever in the world. Keep smiling, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.